Well, it's Sunday, and that means that Mio and MMA here to break down the cards of this weekend. We had UFC Jan versus Dvalishvili. I believe that was UFC Vegas 71, if you're counting that way, and it was not an Apex card, so that's nice. And we also had Bellator 292 with some tournament bouts and a decent offering, I will say, a fairly reasonable offering of fights with some weird events. Anyways, I am your host, Mia. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts for 25 years. At this point, martial arts in general for 25 years, mixed martial arts for about 20. And I have been involved in the sport in various capacities, training, etc. during that time period. So that's my background. And welcome to my podcast. So let's talk about Bellator 292 first, because I have less to say. In the description. You will find a Linktree link, a Discord link, a couple other links, social media, etc. Check those out. I do run a mixed martial arts sim over on the Discord, which is pretty cool. And I think if you enjoy my breakdowns here, you enjoy mixed martial arts, and you're a little bit nerdy, that'd be something that you would enjoy. So check that out. Let's talk about Bellator 292 because it'll be shorter. I have a lot less to say because there are fights I didn't make picks on. And I'm not going to get super deep on any of the fights because I don't think super depth is needed on the Bellator card. Usman Nurmagomedov did defeat Benson Henderson. Rinnick choked 237. Hit him with a kick, knocked him down, and got his back, choked him out. Very cool because, to be clear, Benson Henderson at one point was considered virtually unchokeable. So to choke him is pretty damn impressive. And to get that stoppage is pretty cool. And it's a feather in Nurmagomedov's cap. I will say I think not the hype. So I think the hype is real. But people are really kind of taking some things for granted with him when you consider that his big wins are a 39-year-old Benson Henderson who then retired. And we know in MMA, when you retire after the fight, you almost never got the fully capable fighter. I mean, it's Henderson. From a top 10, top 15 in the world relevance here, it doesn't really have a lot of relevance. And then he's beaten Patricky Pitbull. So, I still want to see him beat someone in their prime who stylistically matches up well with him before I get super carried away. Because there was someone asked on Twitter, they gave the top 8 fighters in the UFC in the weight class, and who of these does Usman Nurmagomedov beat? And I said, I stand by this. I believe he beats Mateus Gamrot. I believe he beats Michael Chandler. And I'm pretty confident on both of those. And then the other 6, I think it's interesting. I don't think that there's anyone that actually I wouldn't pick him against. Depending on the betting odds, would I bet on Usman Nurmagomedov against any of them? The answer is yes. You give me enough underdog odds, I'm taking it. But someone responded by saying, I think he beats them all, and he's number 1. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're wrong, because we haven't seen him lose. We haven't seen his limitations. Let me be clear on that. But at the same time, I don't think we've seen enough to really say that that is the case. In an empirical sense. If you've got that belief, you do you. Because that's awesome. Honestly, that's awesome to be able to have that kind of level of belief. He moves on in the tournament, as does Alexander Shabley. Shabley's was a bit weird because this is the one where he hit Tufek Musafayev with a solar plexus kick that on the way down clipped the belt line, possibly clipped the cup. And originally it was a low blow. And we're like, it's accidental, whatever. And then on review, they declared that it was a legal strike because the damage was done with the hit to the solar plexus versus the groin strike. And then through the interpreter, they basically asked Musafayev, can you continue? Right now, he said no, and the fight got waved up. It's a bit weird. Don't get me wrong. Schleby was looking perfectly fine. He's a fighter that I'm probably going to chronically underrate because I don't really think his style of fighting, his kick-heavy style, should actually work. I honestly don't think so. I think it should be wrestler bait, but it hasn't been. So, what do I know? Anyways, it was weird. It was a bit of a weird moment for Herzog, and it's a topic of conversation on Twitter right now. Should that have been ruled a low blow? I think that the rule's a bit weird on that one because I do think it was a low blow. I get that he was reacting. I think the logic is he was reacting quite poorly to the solar plexus kick and was kind of done at that point, which is fair, but you are supposed to control your weapons. And I believe the belt line where the contact was made is still considered a low blow. But anyways, he moves on. Usman moves on. Are they fighting each other? Because that would be kind of interesting. Let's see here. Bellator lightweight Grand Prix. Can I get a bracket, please? Can I get a bracket? I can't. Okay, they're not fighting each other. So Usman will fight the winner of Mansour Barnoui and Brett Primus. If it's Primus, I think he'll win that very, very easily. If it's Barnoui, that could be interesting. And Schlably gets the winner of AJ McKee for Tricky Pitbull. I assume that will be AJ McKee. And I think AJ McKee will beat him. But again, I picked against Schlably a bunch. I thought Brett Primus would beat him. He didn't. I thought Adriano Martins, way back in 2018, would beat him. He didn't. And otherwise, he's been kicking out cans. Not cans, but like not super great fighters. So I don't know. I don't know if you. I fully admit I do not know if you should trust me when it comes to Mr. Alexander Schlably. he might be a lot better than I think he is. So there's that. All right. Let's move on. Linton Vassell knocked out Valentin Moldavsky with a really hard shot, knocked him down to the ground, and then elbowed him from mount and finished the job off. Vassell continues to be another guy that I can't really get a handle on. I thought the move up to heavyweight was a bad idea. I thought it would be terrible. And I picked against him kind of repetitively since that day. And I've been right once. I had him losing to Valentin Moldavsky the first time, and he did. I did pick him to beat Ronnie Marquez, because Ronnie Marquez at heavyweight is just a joke. A legitimate joke. There's no way Marquez should be at heavyweight. Dude was a middleweight. At best, he's a 205er. Anyways, I thought he would lose to Haratonov. He didn't. I thought he would lose to Tyrell Fortune. He didn't. I thought he would lose to Tim Johnson. He didn't. I thought he would lose to Moldavsky a second time. He didn't. So there you go. Another fighter that maybe I just do not have the greatest handle of how he functions. And then Michael Venom Page stopped Goto Yamaguchi with like 2 low kicks. 26 seconds into the fight, Yamaguchi's leg got effed. He went down like a sack of potatoes, and MVP wants Yaroslav Amosov. Might as well. MVP is like the biggest name that they got. Let's have a look at the Bellator rankings real quick. Is there somebody I'm forgetting? Because having Amosov already beaten Logan Storley, like I don't really know who else you'd even put him up against. Men's welterweight, please. Yeah, you got Amosov, Storley, Page, Jason Jackson, Douglas Lima. Douglas Lima of a couple years ago, that'd be interesting. But Douglas Lima now? No. Go to Yamaguchi, Neiman Gracie, Korshkov, Brennan Ward, Lorenz Larkin, Spa Hamasi. Yeah, this division fades off pretty quickly. So as much as like I'm not going to be hyped for MVP versus Amosov, and I think that there are way more interesting fights out there. They're not necessarily in Bellator, so why not give Amosov a big, very winnable fight against Michael Venom Page? Let him go out there, let him do his thing, let him style and profile against a guy who, like it or not, is one of the biggest stars in Bellator in Michael Venom Page. So there you go. Why not? Moving on down, Enrique Barzola did pay off for me against Eric Perez, as did Josh Hill against Cass Bell. I don't have a lot to say about either fight, other than Cass Bell needs to get out of bantamweight, because this was originally supposed to be a bantamweight fight. He wound up weighing in at like 145. At some point, they decided it wasn't a featherweight fight. I'm pretty sure, because Hill weighed in. Like, Hill missed weight too. He was weighed in like 136.6. So, like, at some point, I guess, he was informed that he didn't have to make weight. But But yeah, Caspel is not a feather or not a bantamweight. He is a featherweight. Get him up there. He's an exciting fighter. He's a scrappy guy. I like him. Whatever. But no, I didn't have a pick on Tony Johnson versus Murtazalayev. Murtazalayev won. I probably should have picked Murtazalayev now that I think about it, but maybe that's just hindsight. And the other fight I had a pick on was, which I got wrong, was Julius Anglisis versus Yagshimuradov. I can't say his first name. Don't ask me to. Yagshimuradov is a really, really fun fighter, like super fun fighter. And now that he's hooked up with ATT, I can see him doing things. It's just that watching this fight, you really get the opinion that he is not a 205er. Like, he's not a middleweight either. I'm not saying he could make 185, but with his shortness for the division, relative to the division, I thought he would run into some of the same problems he had with Karl Albrechtsen. And he really didn't. He looked really good, landed some spinning stuff. He's exciting. Had a big high amplitude slam in, I think it was the second round. Did his thing. Manhandled Anglikas when he wanted to. And Anglikas never really found a rhythm, never really found good volume. Yagshimuradov is like a really fun fighter that I'm interested to see doing things. It's just that he is kind of like Mirzakhanov in the UFC. I'm blanking on his first name, but he's 5'11", and that is just the short. It's really short for the division. That's my height, and having grappled and fought MMA at 205, it's terrifying when you face actual 205ers and you're that size. Because you'll get guys who are like 6'3", 6'4", like Anglikas, and I mean the size difference is incredibly notable. But hey, he got the job done. He's a really fun fighter. If you are not familiar with his fights, go check him out. Like, a lot of them are up on YouTube. Bellator's stuff is on YouTube a lot. Go have a look. He's a fun fighter. I'm not saying he's going to be champion of the world, because he's not going to be, but he is a fun fighter, and you should check it out. All right, let's talk about the UFC card now, which is, I'm sure, what most of you are here for. Main event, Merab Dvalishvili doing his thing. Pressuring Jan, bringing volume, bringing takedowns. Yes, he didn't keep Jan down very long. Yes, Jan fended off a huge number of takedowns. Like, he shot a record number of takedowns. I was surprised to learn that 33 takedowns was the record, and that it was Cain Velasquez who had it, like, attempts, because you just wouldn't think heavyweight functioning at that high of a level. It reminds us of what Cain was before his body started falling apart, and how awesome it really was. All 5 rounds were kind of the same thing. Merab, pressure, put the stuff on him, throw the occasional spinning back fist, which never really landed, but hey, Jan never really made him pay, and put him in the ring cycle, as I call it, where, like, you're just constantly defending, constantly trying to not be stopped. And I forgot to do my matchmaking stuff, so hang on, I'm going to pull up rankings real quick here, and we're going to go through that. I don't know what you do with Merab, because he's made it very, very clear that he's not going to fight Aljamain Sterling for the title. They're training partners, they're good buddies, they're longtime friends, and I mean, I guess you could cross your fingers. Merab gets a title shot if Henry Cejudo takes the belt off of him. But I actually don't even see Merab taking that unless Aljo moves up. I think he would stand aside and let Aljo get a rematch. And the UFC would probably try to put Sean O'Malley in there anyways, because they're a lot more invested in Sean O'Malley. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it is what it is. So I don't know. Like, do you do Merab versus Sean O'Malley? Do you do Merab versus the winner of Sandhagen Vera? Maybe, particularly if it's Sandhagen, because I don't necessarily know that you can sell Sandhagen as a title contender. Vera you can, but Sandhagen not so much. Do you go far enough down to get to, like, Rob Font, Adrian Yanez winner, or Ricky Simone versus Yadong Song winner? I will say, though, a rematch between Ricky Simone and Merab Dvalishvili has all kinds of appeal to me. I don't know about anyone else. I think Simone is a way better fighter than when Dvalishvili fought him last. And we had that weird, like, choke the life out of him right at the end of the fight. And the fight was stopped with 5 minutes gone in the first round or in the third round. And despite having won most of the fight, Dvalishvili ended up with a loss. I don't know. That's a rematch I would be down for at some point, but it doesn't seem appropriate. I really don't know. I don't know what you do with Jan either, because Jan is now on a 3-fight losing skid. Dvalishvili, O'Malley, Sterling beat Sandhagen, lost to Sterling. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. What do you do with that? What do you make happen there? I don't even know. Like, it's the weirdest thing because, like, he's still absolutely a top-notch fighter. Absolutely belongs in the top 10 minimum, top 5 probably in the weight class. But there is no heat on him right now. Maybe that's where you go with the winner of Yadong Song versus Ricky Simone, maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's a weird place to be with that fighter right now. Alexander Volkov beat Alexander Romanov. I would like to say, hey, guys, I was totally correct and whatever, but I wasn't, because here's the thing. I thought Volkov would have to take this late. I thought Romanov would win early. I thought he would do things. Nope. Nope. I will say Volkov got away with a pretty heavy cage grab. And it was a bad night for Mark Smith on the cage grab front because he gave like 7 warnings earlier in the fight between, I'm blanking on who it was. I'm looking through my notes here. Turcali and Petrino. We'll get to tons of warnings there, and then he gives a warning here for a very blatant cage grab. It probably did absolutely stop Romanov for getting a takedown, but Romanov crumbled. He got hurt to the body. I think it was a punch. Might have been a kick. I should have written down kick or punch. But he got hurt to the body, shoots in desperation, gets stuff. Volkov ends up on his back, gives him the ride, and just pounds him out. And I said it, not in my preview, because I recorded the preview before the weigh-ins. I said it at the weigh-ins that I was really disappointed in the fact that Romanov came in at like near the weight limit. And it looked like he put all the weight that he'd lost back on and trying to correct some problems with cardio and trying to make it easier to move and so on and like be a little bit faster. Like, I thought he was doing all the right things, and then he comes in his fight just heavy again, and he gets absolutely thrashed. I don't actually know what you do with him, because there still is, like, he's lost 2 fights, so like there is absolutely a top-notch fighter still in there, great grappler or whatever, but like, are we at the point where like Romanov might just kind of be a guy who can't deal with pushback? Because he looked not great against Juan Espino when he got pushback. He did lose to Tybura, although I thought that was a draw because I thought it was a 10-8 first round. But when Tybura survived a terrible first round, Romanov had nothing for him, and then he really had nothing for Volkov here. So we're getting to the point where like I gotta ask questions. Volkov, by the way, is on his best streak because he absolutely steamrolled Jairzinho Rosenstruck before this. His last 2 fights have been like a new guy showing off like this power, this ability to hurt people that was chronically missing from his game up until this point. So that's cool. What do I want to do with him? You're getting kind of the live inside thoughts here into my brain as far as what I want to do with matchmaking. He's already lost to Gon. He's already lost to Tom Aspinall. He lost to Curtis Blades back in the day. So most of the guys at the top of the division, he really, I don't know what you do. Like maybe if Sergey Pavlovich loses to Curtis Blades, maybe that's the date you make. You know what? Sergey Spivak, Alexander Volkov. That could be interesting because like Spivak is a less powerful, more scrappy version of Romanov. He's the kind of other up and coming takedown artists, so to speak. So, hey, why not do that? That could be intriguing. For Romanov, I think actually you probably just give him a can. We go way down the order. We go down to like a Chris Daukaus, or we go down to an Augusto Sakai, or, well, even Sakai might actually be too much pushback. Thinking. No, I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand behind it. Chris Daukaus, a guy who has a little bit of credibility still, like a little bit. He does threaten on the feet, so hey, why not go with that and see what happens? And he is a guy who is at a primarily a jiu-jitsu school, so there is that as well. Nikita Krylov beat Ryan Spawn in a really, really fun fight where Spawn, both of them were able to hit each other really hard. There was a sequence where Spawn landed a real nice power jab, and Krylov ate it and came back with a counter uppercut. There was some clinching, some wrestling, some jockeying for positions. Spawn almost had a Darce choke. Krylov escaped that. Krylov then threatened with a bulldog choke of whatever, which, I mean, suddenly after watching Shavkat Rakhmonov tap out Jeff Neal has actual value now. But, Krylov hit him with a hard knee, gets a couple of takedowns of his own. Another guillotine attempt, this time by Krylov. Spawn escapes it and starts looking for a Kimura. And then Krylov out of nowhere gets a triangle submission. It was a bit weird. It was a fun fight. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. This was the last fight on the card I can really, really recommend. Don't get me wrong, Dvalishvili versus Jan is what you want to see if you're not familiar with Merab Dvalishvili. If you're like, Merab Dvalishvili's not any good, go watch that fight. But it's something that if you're a believer in Dvalishvili already, or you had certain reservations about Jan already, not really. And the Volkov-Romanov fight, just like, for me, is like a little bit more sad than anything else. Because, I want Romanov to be good. I want the up-and-comer to pass tests. And he didn't. But Krylov Spawn is just that kind of chaotic, just goodness. It's why I actually didn't mind it being a main event a little while ago. Because, it's a fun, chaotic fight. Even if I think both fighters are horrendously flawed. They get the job done. Said Nurmagomedov versus Jonathan Martinez. I did score this for Said. I gave him the first and the third round. I thought that he did more damage. Specifically, there was in the third. I think it comes down to in the third round, there was a bit where Martinez was throwing calf kicks and got sat down. Now, the question about the sat down was it Said hitting him really, really hard and putting him down? Or was it him kind of getting caught at an inopportune moment while throwing a kick? And therefore, it's like more of a slip, not really the damage that you would think for a knockdown. And that would maybe allow you to get Martinez the third round. Actually, curious here, is MMA Decisions up? Because I know they've been having problems over at MMA Decisions the last couple of weeks. Yeah, it's still not working. Okay, UFC Jan Dvalishvili scorecards. The UFC does usually post these. Okay, there we go. MMA Decisions is working. It's just you have to bypass their drop page. Now I'm on the Dvalishvili thing here, though. Martinez Nurmagomedov. Thank you. There you go. That'll do it. So Michael Bell, first round to Said, second and third to Jonathan Martinez, Adelaide Bird, same, and Gennaro Camijo, same. So yeah, it was across the board, same deal, basically. I scored the moment where Martinez hit the ground as something worthwhile, and it looks like the judges disagreed with me. The problems here for Said are pretty simple. So Said, we've been through this before. Creative kicker, outside striker, whatever. Very comfortable there. Not super comfortable in the pocket. And at the same time, not really able to break clinches. He's not a bad clinch fighter. I want to make that clear. Like, generally speaking, dude's got some interesting chokes from the clinch, lands knees very well, does his thing, but can't really break away. Like Martinez was able to just hold him in the clinch for a long time and like throw. And Saeed wasn't really throwing. And the other thing is Saeed's like style is very cardio draining. So the fact that I came away from this fight, even with Martinez winning, going like, man, Saeed has a way better future. Like Saeed has like way more potential, I should say, not necessarily a better future because there's no guarantee he'll fix his shit. But like he really does need to work on breaking away from the clinch or controlling the fight more. Or just, you know what? Pick up the pace. Pare down the game a little bit. Get away from some of the back fist stuff and the spinning kicks and the high intensity workout stuff. Go to the lower end, pare it down, and get things done. And you would be a way better fighter. But Martinez was able to just kind of exploit the creative stupidity of Saeed Nurmagomedov's game. His very un-Nurmagomedovness. Martinez once called out Dominic Cruz again, which is a good move. And he also called out Davey Figgs. I'm not sure how much people should actually want that Davey Figgs fight. But I am fine with either of those options for Jonathan Martinez. They're perfectly fine. Where does Tapology have him now? They have him 15th. I feel like this has not been updated because he just beat Saeed. Whether you agree with it or not, he should be ahead of Saeed. One would think. But anyways. You could also give him something like the loser of Yanez versus Font, or maybe even the winner of like Pedro Munoz, Chris Gutierrez. Like that could be fun. Him versus Chris Gutierrez actually could be really, really fun. I'd be down for that. But yeah, the Cruiser Figueiredo fights are also fine. There's a lot of options there. For Saeed, you could also go with the loser of Yanez Font. You could go with the loser of Munoz Gutierrez. You could go with the winner of Jack Shore versus Makwan Amirkhani. Or is that at I'm thinking that's at featherweight. Jack Shore, Makwan Amirkhani. Yeah, it's a featherweight bout. Shore is going up, which is a shame. I really liked having Shore there. Kyler Phillips would also be a good fight. So, lots of options to go with there. And, I don't really have much more to say about that part. Mario Bautista rolled over Guido Canetti. I don't really have anything else to say. He was a minus 1,100 favorite on some cards. Canetti is old, and that's kind of really about it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't have much more to say. Where to go next for Bautista? Where they got him? They got him down in 24th on Tapology. You could do Ronnie Barcelos. You could do Victor Henry from this card. You could do David Grant from this card. You could do Kyler Phillips. I think any of those doors would be really solid options for him and wouldn't be a huge jump. So, hey, let's go that way. I don't really care what they do with Canetti. This is not an anti-Guido Canetti thing. Like, I actually enjoy Guido Canetti's fights. Like, he's an explosive dude and, like, does exciting stuff and everything. And I'm perfectly fine seeing him on cards. It's just, I look at him and he's a 43-year-old bantamweight. He's got to be fading at some point. Like every fight we see him in, he could just completely fall off. So like the thing is like as a test for somebody else, I don't think he really does much. And as a future building for himself, I just think he's out of time. I said in the preview, I think he's a guy who was, to be honest, born a little bit too early. And in the wrong country because, too early and possibly in the wrong country. Because I do believe the Argentinian regional scene is getting better and better and better over time, but it's yet to really produce anything better than Santiago Ponzinibbio, who went to Brazil pretty quickly to get fights. So he's from a country that doesn't have the infrastructure to turn an athlete like him into a very good fighter, and doesn't have the tests that are right to develop the skills. So when he came to the UFC, it's like, yes, this guy's athletic, but this guy is also old already. Because when he came to the UFC, let me see here. Guido Canetti, how old were you? He was on The Ultimate Fighter in 2014, so it'd been 9 years ago. I guess he would have been in his early 30s at that point, but like early 30s and having fought on a circuit that doesn't develop anything really means that you're a guy who's coming in basically as a blank slate, an athletic blank slate, but a blank slate nonetheless. Had a rough time, the Ultimate Fighter, losing to Marco Beltran and Alejandro Perez. Got into the UFC, lost to Henry Briones, beat Hugo Viana. That was actually pretty good. But then lost to Kwai Cocaine, Diego Rivas. Honestly, how did this guy survive losing 3 in a row to Marlon Vera, Donan Batcherel, and Mana Martinez? That's a little bit weird. And then beating Chris Moutinho and Randy Costa. Like, it's just, he's a super low-end talent who could have been more if he was born a little bit later into the Argentinian development scene, or if he had just been born in a different country. And we'd probably be celebrating like Guido Canetti, the like former title challenger, if he was born in like America or something. Vitor Petrino versus Anton Turkalj, the Pleasure Man. This fight was fun in a way, but oh my lord, it was so very. I think this got fight of the night, didn't it? This get fight of the night. This should not have gotten fight of the night. I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna say that right now. Yeah, it's got fight of the night. Oh boy. No. If you're gonna give it to a sloppy brawl, then like Krylov versus Spawn was a better fight. You should have probably gone with that as the fight of the night. Or David Cran, a Sun Cow would have been a better option. Henry versus Gravely was pretty fun too. Could have gone with that. Or like Bruno Silva, Tyson Nam. It was a stoppage in the second round. We don't usually give it there, but hey. But no, this is very far down on my favorite fights on the night. This fight was about as good as it was going to be. I thought that Petrino would roll over Turkalj. I thought he was smart enough not to go to the ground with him. He wasn't. He immediately started, like, he went for a takedown like the first minute of the fight. He was like, I'm willing to grapple with this guy who over the course of the fight clearly can't strike. Like, Turkalj has some okay low kicks, and he has some spinning stuff that he likes to mix in. But he is terrible. He is terrible. And I had thought that at least Turkalj was kind of good on the ground. He's not. He had back control on Petrino and lost it like 6 or 7 times over the course of this fight to like the same just kind of brute force turn in escape. It was bad. It was quite bad. I scored all 3 rounds for Petrino. If you gave, I think it was the second to Turkalj, I guess he had some dominant positions and probably had more, but like he also got slammed and hurt and cage grabbed like a mofo. This like I said, this was the other fight where Mark Smith had to warn repetitively about cage grabs and did not take a point. Like he hard warned a couple of times. Like a point should have been taken at some point. Similarly, actually in the main event, Peter Yan should have probably lost a point for finger poking. Not because I thought it was actually egregious, but like at some point you've warned a guy, hard warned him 2 times. This was Herb Dean, not Mark Smith, but 2 times you hard warned the guy to keep his fingers, in a fist, and then you don't take a point when he keeps doing it. He eventually did stop doing it, or Herb Dean stopped warning him about it anyways. But the constant warnings that the referees give is starting to bug me, and also like I do feel like taking a point in either of those fights would have actually made them better. Yeah, Petrino is like super physical and like actually seems to have an okayly well-rounded game, but his fight IQ is stupid. So goddamn stupid. Oh Lord. He went into like it worked. So I guess I can't really say that, but like he went into the only place Turkalj could compete with him repeatedly, got his back taken repeatedly, and never thought that this was a bad idea. It's a fun, sloppy fight. Check it out if you're into that kind of thing. But you will be beating your own head going, this is so stupid during the fight. I I don't know what you do with them because, like with Petrino, like he has all the physical abilities and I think even the technical abilities to be a pretty good cruiserweight, or not cruiserweight, light heavyweight. I call it cruiserweight in the South. Light heavyweight. Why it's not called cruiserweight, I don't know because like for those knowing of like other combat sport systems, light heavyweight is there because we have so many divisions in like boxing and stuff. It's like heavyweight, cruiserweight, light heavyweight, etc. The fact that there is no light middleweight or super middleweight, super welterweight, whatever, kind of makes the light heavyweight inclusion in MMA a bit weird. I feel like it should just be cruiserweight. But anyways, Turkali can be cut. I don't think he wins a fight in the UFC against anyone good. Let me pull up the rankings here. We're probably going sub top 50 for these guys at light heavyweight, and that's where things start to get really, really sad. Oh Lord, Karl Moore is in the top 50. Wow. Okay, they got Petrino at 51, so I guess I got to go into the top 50 here. There's a bunch of Bellator dudes that could be fun for him to fight, but they're in Bellator. Your Pataria? I guess I don't know. I don't know. It's bad, and like I said, I don't even think you keep the pleasure, man. He's everything entertaining about this fight was because of Petrino's decision making and Petrino's like physicality. It wasn't to do with Turkali. So I don't know. I don't know. I sound really negative of the fight. I actually enjoyed it at the time, but hey. Carl Williams showed off his grappling, his wrestling, and did his thing. He got really tired. Lucas Brzeski got really tired. But they both kept fighting. Like they both kept fighting tired and kept trying to do things. Carl Williams does need to. I don't even know if he necessarily needs to work on his gas tank. I think it was he did too many things. Like in the second round, he went with like a big slam twice. He was like throwing tons and tons and tons of stuff. Even a spinning elbow from Brzeski. But, he just maybe needs to work on like gas tank management. But no, like Carl Williams is a super scary dude. Like, dude is really athletic for a heavyweight. Like, this guy's got legitimate future. He just needs to kind of, like extend things to the point where he can fight for 15 minutes at a high rate without getting this tired. But like, props to him for pushing through the gassing. In a way that, like, for example, Alexander Romanov did not do. So, like, I'm actually quite hopeful for his future because Brzeski's not a bad fighter. Brzeski, if he had like power, might have been a much bigger problem for him. But he doesn't. For Williams, someone with better wrestling. What do I got here? What do I got for him? If Martin Budai beats Jake Collier, I mean they both have a similar win or the same win against Lucas Brzeski, so why not? And Budai is a guy with power and like the ability to hurt people in a way that Brzeski does not have. So I think that would be fun. And for Brzeski, looking, trying to see if anything really stands out to me. They keep trying to get Austin Lane a fight in the UFC. I think he's had like 2 canceled. It's just one. He was supposed to fight Junior Tafa. You could go that route, Brzeski is an excellent test for a guy who's athletic. And it's like, okay, what happens if somebody just doesn't go away? Because like Austin Lane has been a bit of a glass cannon. He's a guy who has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 first round stoppages in his career, and he's only got 12 wins. So he's only won 3 times outside of the first round. He's lost 3 times in the first round. Now, I think he has cardio. He beat Juan Adams in the 4th round of their fight. But this being said, like, that could be a heck of a welcome test. Unless they just want to use Austin Lane to kind of show off and do some things, in which case Brzeski would not be the idea because I think he's way too durable. But, yeah. that was, for a heavyweight fight, that was fun. Javier Sunkau got inverted triangle by Davey Grant. Like, what? What do you even do with that? Now this one was a bit weird because in the third round, Sunkau was working for a takedown, and Grant grabbed the fence. He got a point deduction and quote unquote he lost the position because with the cage grab he was kind of coming out over top and like kind of I guess it in a back crucifix position against Gary Goodrich versus whatever. It's the famous Gary Goodrich like elbowing the dude, but he was coming like over the top into that. I guess you could argue that that's a good position, but like a Sunkau was the one trying to get the takedown. Grant was the one trying to avoid the takedown. You took a Sunkau's ability to work for a takedown away from him. That was weird. I'm not sure if that was an appropriate applied rule. If it was, maybe we need to relook at that. I don't think it's not as binary as good position because it wasn't even a great position. Like a Sunkau was still working for the takedown and was still in on the hips of Grant. So like I thought that shouldn't be taken away. And then Grant hit him with a spinning back fist, hit him with a reverse triangle, and got him. And that was weird. That was stunning. Sunkau, I think, was out for a while there. And Sunkau up until that point was winning. He was doing the things I expected to do, landing good counter strikes, making Grant pay for his wide openness, and even working in some takedowns. Like the fight was going exactly like I thought it was going to go. That's not why I'm a little bit sour about it. I'm just a little bit sour about it because I don't know. I feel like a Sunkau got kind of gypped a little bit here, but we got a really cool finish out of that, and a Sunkau retired, which presumably he was going to do anyways. A bit weird that he changed gyms because I think this was his first time with Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. In his fight, if he had been doing it before, I had noticed. Maybe he was, but I don't know. Maybe he's got a coaching gig there or something. But it's a bit weird to change gyms right before retiring. Davey Grant, like I said, was in the mix with a bunch of the bantamweights from earlier as a possible opponent, so let's do that. Cedric Dumas, Josh Fremd. I was really happy to be wrong. I think Cedric's Dumas is kind of just a crap bag when it comes down to it. You got the domestic violence charge. You've got the charging reporters to interview him thing, which I've explained. I'm not pro on that. And it's not. I'm especially not pro on that. It's like you're because his whole like dynamic was like, this guy's a small publication. Well, my guy, you're coming off a Dana White Contender Series win. Like you're not nothing yet. And yeah, someone compared him to like Blood Diamond, the Mike Matheny, the Izzy Adesanya teammate. I don't think he's Blood Diamond because I think he already has a better skill set than Blood Diamond. But this fight did make it very clear that if Dumas, as a grappler, does not have a massive physical edge on somebody, he's in trouble. He looks excellent on offense, but he looks particularly lost on defense. Like he got his calf lit up here by Fremd. He got countered a couple of times by Fremd. He ended up looking quite lost on the ground. He, almost got guillotined, got smothered a couple times, and then at the end of the day, he tried to take Fremd's back, was way too high up, got shaken off, and got guillotined. I understand that Fremd is like a unique challenge to a lot of people. Like he's huge. He's 6'4" middleweight. Like he's quite possibly the biggest middleweight you're ever going to face. But there are some significant problems with Dumas's game that I think will be damning to him in a number of ways. And he needs to work on those. And he's at a small gym, so I do kind of wonder if that's gonna be a thing that actually happens. What is next for Fremd? I don't have anything particular in mind for Fremd because dude is just a fun action fighter. Like you can do a lot of different matchups with him, and it's gonna be solid. It's gonna be perfectly fine, perfectly fun. He's in that mold of a Joe Pyfer, Dennis Tialunin, couple others. I'm looking. Wow, I'm really having to look here. He's in kind of like this, just like deserted zone where there's like no UFC fighters at all in play. Is Abu Azaitar still around, or did he get cut? He should have been cut, but I don't know. He had 2 fights in the UFC, beating Vitor Miranda and losing to Marc-Andre Barrios. Oh, he was supposed to fight Dumas on this card. There you go. Abu Azaitar. Boom. There you go. Josh Friend, Abu Azaitar. Another fight where I can cheer for him because Azaitar is kind of a crap bag. As for Dumas. Why not a fight with like AJ Dobson? Dodson's an athletic dude who's like super, super raw. Has lost to Armin Petrosyan, lost to Jacob Malkoun. That does feel about right. So, there you go. Matchups for both of them that make sense. Victor Henry won a split decision against Tony Gravely. This was closer than I thought it was going to be. I personally scored the first round for Gravely, the second and the third for Victor Henry. I thought Henry got going, turned up the volume, did his things, but they were not super like determinate rounds, so I don't have a problem with the third round maybe going to Gravely. Second round was definitely Henry's round. He was making it happen. He was like working it hard. Gravely even ended up doing a face plant at one point. It was more of a slip than it was a knockdown, but he was eating all kinds of stuff, all kinds of creativity, and his takedowns were getting shut down. He was even hit with the Travis Brown style elbows in the second round, and yeah, he couldn't control Henry. Like I said, I'm disappointed that Henry got off to such a slow start. I'm a little disappointed that he kind of gassed out later on. I get that he was chasing the finish in the second round. That probably was led to him being quite tired in the third round. But he did get the job done. Gravely's getting better. All of this, like, I'm crapping on Henry here for winning a fight that I thought he should win more comfortably. But Gravely's getting better. Like, he's working more diversity into his game. He's working more volume into his game. He's working more combinations in his game. This guy used to be very much a one-and-done kind of guy. So the fact that he's out here getting better, it speaks well to him. So that was another bantamweight fight, which means I think I said for Henry, he's kind of in that mix for guys to fight. Who was it? Mario Bautista, potentially, but or Davey Graham. But I kind of like him versus Kyler Phillips. I liked a lot of people versus Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is a popular man in my matchmaking right now. But yeah, Victor Henry's super fun. Let him do his thing. For Tony Gravely, I'm intrigued to see him keep improving, but he is on a 2-fight losing streak. So, has he fought Miles Johns? Because they feel very similar. And it doesn't look like they have. I'm looking at Miles Johns' record here, and I'm not seeing Tony Gravely. I'm seeing Vince Morales. I'm seeing John Castaneda, Anderson Dos Santos, Kevin Natividad, Mario Bautista Cole Smith, Adrian Yanez back in the day. You could do that fight. They're both kind of similar, and they're both athletic specimens, like super powerful dudes who should be able to do things. Or if you brought Saeed Kakramanov back, because I have no remote idea why after 3 fights, Kakramanov, with a 2-1 record and a loss to Saeed Nurmagomedov, is off the UFC roster. And if you want to go with someone you're trying to pimp, MSP, Cameron Simon. That could be an option as well. JJ Aldrich just got out-muscled pretty much by Ariane Lipsky to a unanimous decision. The only real problem I have here is that, like, part of my brain is like, hey, Lipsky came through, did the deal, fought within herself, fought calm, fought collected, fought to a game plan, did not go wild, did not go nuts, and applied her athleticism. And that should be good because Lipsky has the physical upside to be a very, very good fighter. let's be honest, the UFC likes pushing pretty girls, and she is. And there's nothing about her that is unfixable. That being said, I've kind of seen her pull this before where like she develops, it looks like, hey, she's turned the corner, it's looking good. The fight against Mandy Bohm was like a good example of that, where like, oh Lord, she's got something going here. And then Priscilla Cachoeira beat her. It's kind of the problem is that like this does feel kind of like the Mandy Bohm fight, just to a higher level, like a more impressive level. But can she, if offered a chaotic mess of a fight, say no? That's kind of the big problem. So, what do I do with her next? This women's flyweight, which is becoming suddenly a pretty interesting division, to be honest. Lipski. Where are you, Lipski? What about Maria Agapova? Agapova's coming off of 2 straight losses, so like on that level, it doesn't really work. But Agapova is a powerful physical fighter who will invite you to a sloppy, stupid fight. And it is up to you to refuse. Or to win that. I guess just to win the sloppy, stupid fight is also an option. If you want to go higher up, could go with like Jasmine Jasudavicius, maybe? You know, it kind of plays into Jasudavicius's questions as well. So like that's not a half bad fight. And for JJ, I don't know. This might just kind of be the end of the road where like she is just hard capped physically. If we look at JJ Aldridge's career for a hot second here, there's a lot of good wins. She's been in the UFC since 2016. It's pretty good. Like, came in, lost to Juliana Lima. She was on the Ultimate Fighter before that, lost to Tatiana Suarez. No shame there. Beat Chan Mi Young, beat Daniel Taylor, Polyana Viana, lost to Macy Barber. Barber feels very similar to this fight. Lost to Sabrina Mazzo, feels very similar to this fight. Beat Vanessa Demopoulos, who's tiny. Beat Corey Casey. Beat Jillian Robertson, who are not very athletic. Lost to Blanchfield, no shame there. Lost to Lipski. I don't know. There's kind of a weird thing where, like, I think she's just kind of a bit of no man's like. Well, I don't know why she hasn't fought Montana De La Rosa. So there, go. They're right beside each other on Tapology. They're both on 2 fight skids. Go do it. Montana De La Rosa, JJ Aldridge. There you go. 2 under athletic fighters who really try really hard, really try to develop into a good fighter. Tyson Nam Bruno Silva got the better of Tyson Nam, choking him out with a rear naked choke. And I do mean choked him out because he went out. Silva, I don't know if anything really surprised me about this fight. The first round was kind of standard, where like, you know, a little bit more active with Silva. There was a nice spinning back fist in play. He was working the calf kick really well, working the body kick, got countered a couple of times. Had a really terrible takedown shot. Like, to be clear, maybe it was just meant as a distraction or whatever, but it was not great. He spun and then got like actually lit up with a right counter. So Tyson Nam finally making someone pay for a spinning strike. And then, yeah, he dropped him with a front kick and put him out with the rear naked choke. So, hey, good work by Bruno Silva. He's an interesting dude. I'm always excited to see like flyweight men's finishers, because we don't get a lot of those. And I mean like finishers not even in like the technical sense. Like, he's got the power to actually make a difference and hurt people. Who would I like to see him fighting next? Because he's got a nice 3-fight winning streak going here. Maybe you go with like Tadger Ulanbekov. Maybe you go with like a Tim Elliott. Maybe you go with a David Dvorak. Oh, wait. Has he fought Matt Schnell? I don't think he has. I don't think he fought Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell, Bruno Silva, make it happen. There you go. There's your answer. And for Tyson Nam, Hmm. Wow, Cody Durden's already booked against Charles Johnson. Interesting. Maybe you go with like the winner of Jake Hadley versus Malcolm Gordon, or the winner of Jalgajuga Magulov. Are you still? I thought you retired. He's fighting Nate Maness. Okay, interesting. The winner of Cody Durden, Charles Johnson would also be possible. Honestly, the loser of Cody Durden versus Charles Johnson also is a possibility. Yeah, I don't know. There's fun fights out there for Tyson Nam. He can do a lot of different things. And the opening fight of the night was Carlston Harris, who had a kind of a close kickboxing fight in the first round with Jared Gooden, who missed weight. And then he was like, you know what? Let me go with the clinch and takedown game. And yeah, from that point onwards, he dominated the fight. Just absolutely worked it. Gooden is still just like a super simple fighter. Props to him for taking this on short notice. I don't hold the weight miss against him. Someone was asking why you wouldn't just ask for a catchweight fight. I think the thing is that I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe a catchweight fight has to actually be agreed to by the other fighter. And it's quite possible that Carlston Harris is just like, I'll just take 30% of your purse. And if they're going to fight anyways, why not? So I guess that's the answer. And I've always said this, being an MMA manager is probably a can't-win scenario. You pretty much have to have no soul like the Kawa brothers and Ali Abdelaziz and whatever to do it, because you're essentially playing a dirty game against your own client. And that's kind of all there is to it. You're kind of powerless, and your way of like being successful is to suck up to the major promoters and do what they tell you to do, which means you're basically not a manager. So someone once asked if I would ever get into MMA management. There's my answer. No, I don't. I think it's a losing game. And I have a moral conscious objection to what they do. What's next for Harris and for Gooden? Man, welterweight is a deep place. I guess is my answer. Is welterweight is a deep place. Oh, ooh, Carlston Harris versus Gabriel Bonfim. Just saying. That could be fun. Also, Warley Alves sticks out as a good idea. For Gooden, I hope he gets another fight, because he did do the UFC a solid here by taking a short notice fight. And he didn't disgrace himself or anything. Don't get me wrong. I think he's still a really easy fight IQ test for like anyone particularly good and athletic. But he doesn't look out of place in the UFC. I guess that's it. I'm having a hard time finding him on the Tapology rankings. Yeah, I'm outside the top 100. Someone low end top 100 probably makes sense. Wow, Judo Wallhead? Jim Wallhead's back. Oh, what the hell is this? He fought twice last year. I wasn't even aware. I gotta go track down those fights. Maybe like Orion Koshi makes sense, or loser of Trevin Giles, Preston Parsons, maybe. Those could work. All right, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed. I got a little bit of a headache, so hopefully it didn't come across that I was like absolutely in agony this entire time. But hey, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Well, not see, but you'll hear me on Thursday when I put up my predictions for the next UFC card. Assuming we don't have one of those week offs that we get. Oh, UFC 286. Yes. Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. Yes, please. Yes. That is awesome. I'm also actually pretty hyped for Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. I dislike both guys so much, but hey, I enjoy watching them fight. Chris Duncan's debut. I actually think Chris Duncan's pretty good. Jack Shore versus Makwan Amirkhani, we were talking about earlier. On the card, Mohamed Mokaev is on the card. Lerone Murphy is back. And Christian Leroy Duncan as well. Couple of interesting debuters. The Jake Hadley Malcolm Gordon fight. That's also fun. And apparently Jai Herbert's going to fight Ludovic Klein. That's got to be one of the larger height in this match. It's a 5-inch height difference. No, 6-inch height difference. Wow. Anyways, those are the things I'll be breaking down. I will see you then.